I have seen and heard things that aren't real because of smoking weed. I smoked copious amounts of weed from the age 12-19 every day. I would smoke weed before school at lunchtime every weekend. I'll be completely honest, I did lots of drugs, though. I would do acid, mushrooms, MDMA, crack, downers. If it could get me high, I would do it. But it's worth noting that I have never experienced auditory or visual hallucinations on anything other than weed, besides the obvious effects that you would get from acid and mushrooms. But even those strong psychedelics have nothing in the things I have experienced while high on weed. The first, what I would now guess was a psychotic or psychosis episode, was one night after smoking weed. I thought there was a rat running around under my blanket in bed. I jumped out, but nothing was there. The second time was when I was convinced I could hear a group of people talking and banging on my window, screaming at me to get the fuck outside, threatening to stab me ECT. I froze in fear and pretended to be asleep. The more I ignored the main voice telling me to come outside. The angrier it got, until I heard a gun go off. That left me stunned. Laying in my bed, I could feel blood dripping down my face, and for an hour, I thought I was dying completely paralyzed, and did end up embracing and accepting that this would be how I died. That's until I woke up the next morning confused and terrified, because I was so sure that was real. This left me paranoid for days. The third time I heard what started as what I thought was my parents arguing upstairs. It kept getting louder and more violent, so I thought it must be the neighbors. I put my head out of my window listening, and I focused on one house across the road where I thought it was coming from. I heard a man screaming at a woman. This lasted a long time until it suddenly stopped, and then I heard kids starting to cry, yelling, "Dad, how could you do that? She's dead, you killed her." Followed by the young girl begging for her life, and the man abusing her and threatening to also kill her. Eventually, everything went silent. At this point, staring directly at their front door. It was dark, but there was some light on their porch. I then see a man put a stepladder down and hang himself. I could clearly see a man hanging there from a distance, his legs moving in the direction of the wind. I was terrified and had 000 on my phone ready to call. I didn't want my little brother and sister to see a dead man hanging there as they went to school the next morning. But on the other hand, I also thought about the last time something like this happened. I woke up and none of it was real. I went back and forth with myself, trying to decide if what just happened was real or not. In the end, I did decide that I couldn't have happened, laid down, and ended up going to sleep. The next morning, I did find out that again it wasn't real, and none of that happened. This was the last time I smoked weed, and also the last time I have ever heard or seen something that wasn't real to my knowledge. All these things happened from 18 to 19. I don't understand why one day I just couldn't smoke weed anymore after years of using it and never experiencing things like that. But yeah, I'm now almost 22, don't do any drugs, and live a relatively healthy life. I've never really told people about this as I'm scared people will think I'm crazy. If you made it this far, thanks for listening.